All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming back to another episode of BOPCAST today. I have my man, Mike Rivero from Top Shot DC. He is a videographer, but he does a bunch of other things too. Marketer as well. I think you can probably explain it a little bit better than I can. We actually connected through the Hustleaholics Mastermind group that I've, talked on here about a couple times. Mike Anderson, Mike Puglisi's group through Branberry. Crazy group of entrepreneurs and followed. I think I posted in there, anybody know anything about YouTube ads, and you replied. So I was like, my man, maybe we can link up, and we're probably going to be working together in some capacity as well, but just wanted to get you on the podcast, kind of hear your story and see what you're all about, see what you've been doing in your day to day. And I know you're a hard worker, you've been on this video grind doing this real estate videos. So but I digress, but I'm going to let you kind of, if you want to just let people know who you are, what you do, where you're from, and we're probably going to take it from there.
Absolutely, man. So thanks for having me, first and foremost.
Anytime,
So
man.
my name is Michael. Mike, really no preference. They both cast checks. Um, but yeah, so I mean, once I met you on the Hustleaholics Mastermind group, which I love, by the way, I think it's a
So
great way
cool, man.
to get connected with young entrepreneurs, people that are just hungry, bro. I think we're in a position now where, everybody's exploring the entrepreneurial route. And by building groups like this, you can actually just kind of find a niche where you want to kind of fit in and grow together, and then just potentially mentor other people. Who knows, right? But a little bit about me. So yeah, I'm with Top Shot Pro. That's the business. And we started the business last year. So we're a real estate marketing agency. We do help with a lot of content production, like you mentioned, with the videography. We help with the photography, but that's a small part of it. A big part of it is literally just taking this entire industry uh, by storm. It's one of those things where a realtor is a contractor to a broker's agency, and they typically get some sort of services that allows them to better market themselves and things as such, but they have no direction whatsoever. So we want to be the one-stop solution to give them that kind of path and direction. And obviously coming up in the last 10 years, I think we grew up in social media. So here's where what we grew up on really helps us bring a unique value to these particular professionals. And that's pretty much the background story of the business, man. But yeah, happy to be here.
Yeah, thank you, man. And that's crazy. And you're right. That's a good point. That's usually typically the disconnect. They have to learn social media, but it's embedded in us.
Yeah,
And whether that's good or bad, obviously pros and cons, but it's better to know it than not know it. I can tell you that. And
absolutely.
no matter what you're doing, I mean, plumber, landscaper, lawyer, doesn't matter.
I
Matter if you're
mean, it's
employed. Yeah.
one of those things for me, like with that statement, it's one of my old mentors. He told me, "You're better off asking who and not how, because you'll spend more time learning how." And it's true. That's kind of how we got connected, right? It was you were asking about YouTube ads actually, and I mean we kind of had our conversation. We had a full introduction. We talked about the ads and everything in between, and it's just a matter of ask who, not how. Just if you're not looking to waste time, I think our day-to-day goes by so freaking fast that if we spend enough time, which you should, learning something new and getting into something, but if that's not your unique ability or that's not what your greatest strength is, then just let somebody else carry the torch for you for a little while, and then see how you can learn in the same time.
Yeah, they're not taking away from you. It's just they're actually, and what it is, I'm not sure if you or if you were there for the Brad Lee interview on Hustleaholics, but
Yeah.
something that he said, which is, kind of, which blew my mind, is he said every time I got another $5,000, I just hired another person. I didn't take the 5,000, right? Because
Yep.
that 5,000 gets you the next 5,000, which is then in 2 months is 10,000, and then right, and it scales from there.
Yep.
So I think a lot of entrepreneurship, it seems selfish, or maybe some entrepreneurs are, but it is pretty selfless because you're
Yep.
actually providing, like, you're doing the value. If you're a good business person or good salesperson, like the value comes first, right? Like you hopped on a call with me, but you guys weren't trying to sell me on your stuff. Like you guys were like, who knows, maybe it's not a good fit. Like maybe we'll do something in the future, but just, we just wanted to connect. That's the type of people that you want to work with, not the type of people who are trying to
Oh,
sell
yeah.
you the $2,000 course on the first call. It's like, dude, I just want to see who you are, my man. Like,
I
so.
had that actually happen recently. I connected with somebody about ClickFunnels, and right off the gate, it was like, "This is what I'm going to do for you, and it's $4,000." And I'm like, "Okay, great. What's your name again?" And it's
Yep.
I believe that there's a higher return on relationships than there is on investments. One of the big things is just, again, it's about who you know in a lot of ways. And I don't remember who said this, but someone said it. I think it's Dan Pena. He said you're 2,000 calls away from your next $1 million, right? So I'd rather be talking to 2,000 people for free until something sticks. And that's really the thing with Bradley. Like when he said that, yeah, I was on my phone on the podcast, on the webinar, whatever that call was, right? So I was on my phone, and I kid you not, when he said that, I looked back at the trajectory of how we're like trying to build a business and everything, and I said, that's so fucking true. I would have never been able to like scale the business to where it's at today had I not chosen to hire a video editing team, had I not chosen to hire a social media management team. Does that mean that I ate less for a short period of time? Absolutely. But then that also allowed me to have more time and more freedom. And at the end of the day, I mean, what do you want to have more money or more freedom? So I think there's a fine balance between the two. And when he said, yeah, I mean, 5,000 enables the next 5,000, and it's absolutely true. So it's something that, until you just said it, it's a statement that I'm now going to keep in my head, but it's something I keep in mind at all times. It's like, people aren't an expense, they're an investment. Just
Yeah, and
go
I
with the
love
flow.
how he just said, like, he's just so about spending money, which is it makes sense though, because you can spend money and make it back. You can never spend time and make it back, So
Exactly.
that, and
And
he's like, he was like really one of the first people that put in my head, like, your money sitting is only losing you money. Like even if you put money towards something and lose all of it, that will still make you money, just from the experience of knowing that didn't work. It's
yeah,
like, that's crazy.
that's it's very true. Because so there's this guy I listen to a lot. His name is Dean Jackson. And he always talks about, like, what are you doing with your money? Are you investing it, or are you expensing it? So give you a prime example, I hired this team to do automated outreach for me. $2,500. And I actually had this conversation today, which is perfect. $2,500 later, probably now going into $5,000 later, zero return. Now, is it a good investment? It feels like it isn't. But at the end of the day, it's like they're doing about 100% of the work that I don't want to do. They're doing 100% of the work that I don't want to do. And all I have to do is, once I get that work back, pay 20% of attention to it, see what needs to get fixed, give my feedback, and then it still gets done. So is it really a waste? Is it $5,000 that got wasted, or is it $5,000 that were spent on doing something that I really don't want to do, that I know has to get done?
Yeah,
So
true.
it's
It's
just
like, that's it. It's like that thing too, like, something that David Meltzer said, like, broke people only buy stuff that they don't want. It's like that that they only buy things that they need. They can never buy things that they want. Like, money can buy you things that make you happy and things like that. Like, that's a little bit more personal than your business example, but exactly, like, you're not that once it gets to the point where you want to have your time, that's when and obviously you're going to see the return from, that 2,500, that 5,000. It's just not immediate. Most of these things are
exactly.
5, 10 year, 15, who knows, right? I mean, it could blow up. They can make you 10 grand tomorrow, and then they could make you lose 5 the next day. Like, it's just,
You just don't know.
you
And
just
it's
don't know. But actually just spending, like, I think actually just you taking that initiative, like, that's hard to do, man. Cause that's on your reputation too, of like, if these people don't deliver, you're still the guy. you know?
Yeah. Well, the big thing about it is like, you just put a perspective for me, like reputation. Uh, but the big thing is I grew up not having any sort of cash flow like that. So the second I made, my first $1,000, my first $10,000, it was just like, keep it, because you never know when it's going to come back. But now, since I partnered up with, let's say, Josh, we have complete opposite backgrounds, and I wish he was here, but we grew up on complete opposite backgrounds. I've actually learned how to spend money faster, but in a smart way, right? And it's like, to your point of, most people buy what they need and not what they want. It's so true. So the one thing I learned from this kid, or working with Josh, is like, dude, if I want a $200 steak, is it the best thing to spend $200 on? Probably not, but that steak is going to be an experience. So am I going to do this every day? No, but it's sure as hell going to be something that I spend because it's a want. And it's important to do those things. I mean, personally, I think that now that I understand money a little bit better, it's easier to just take the initiative of, all right, let's just go ahead and spend on it, because tomorrow brings another opportunity. We're probably going to make that money back. And if we don't, we're going to learn from not doing this ever again. Right. But
Yeah.
it's so much fun, man.
I think Mike Anderson said it. I don't know. He's maybe in one of the masterminds or I don't know, on a call. He was like, yeah, this guy like shot me a DM, and he just he was like, here's my course. This is what I do. And it's $70. And he was like, I just bought it on the spot. He's like, cause I saw like this guy was, maybe he knew who he was before. And then he just happened to DM him that day. And he just, so it's like, if you, right, it's about the experience and the value. Like if it's there, dude, like I don't give a shit. I'll buy all the courses for $20. Like as long as the dude, like as long as I could verify that that's what they do, right? Like testimonials, things like that. Like once you get up to $2,000, $4,000, it's like start getting more suspicious. I'm so much less suspicious of the guy for $20. Like, to be honest, but
Yeah.
that's true that you said too. I've been reading this book by Dan Kennedy. It's called No BS Marketing to the Affluent. And he talks about, dude has really interesting takes on marketing and business. It's all, I might actually have it like real close. But it's all about marketing to the affluent and literally just what you said about that steak is like the first example in the book. And
Really?
people buy, yeah, it really is. And it's all about like what you said, people buy on experience. So it's not about, if it was about just the taste of the steak, like that wouldn't be it. Dude, that restaurant that you're going to is not the same as if you're going to go to Olive Garden, man. It's not even close.
When in Rome, right? Like when
Yep.
in Rome, might as well. But yeah, man. So it's one of those things that I think personally over the last year of doing, like, just for like for real, actually spending 100% of my time on building a business versus a side hustle or anything like that. Yeah, it was the biggest learning curve for me. And I'm still learning. The other day, purchased tickets to go to Colorado this upcoming week. 2 months ago, if I would have purchased them, they were $67.
Mm-hmm.
I purchased them last week and they were $307. And everything in the old me was like, bro, that's way too expensive. Don't be stupid. You
Mm-hmm.
could use that money elsewhere. But it's just like, if I don't do it today, it's only going to either go up or I'm going to miss out on whatever comes off this trip.
Opportunity cost, yeah. Like
That's it. So yeah, man, every single day I'm learning about that. And it's interesting. I don't consider myself a cheap person because I'll spend money on Gucci left and right. But when it comes down to making decisions that I don't necessarily know the entire story of, it's definitely one that I just have to jump into that pool and figure out how to
yeah.
swim in that decision.
And like you said, that like the next contract is going to come in. You just don't know. You just don't know when. It's abundance versus scarcity, which comes up all the time. That's really what it is like, and I'm in that mindset too of like, I'm at like the point where my business is like, it's like side hustle level, but it definitely is going to be larger than that.
It's
But
growing.
it's growing. Yeah. But I realized like, oh, I got this big contract. Oh my God. I'm like worried about what happens after that. I'm like, then you're going to go out and get another one. And then if you don't have one, you're going to do whatever it takes to get one, you know? So it's like,
Yeah.
or 3 or 4 or 5, you know? So it's all, once you get the abundance, and like, that's the first thing you learn in sales too, right? Like, it's like, not everybody, you sell something that people need. If they don't buy it, that just means they don't need it, onto the next person who needs it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
And it's never no, it's always not now.
yeah, not yet. Right. Yep.
Yeah. And to your point, one of the big things just in sales in general that I learned, and I actually confirmed this yesterday, it's people are always going to throw you offers. You just don't listen enough, right? And you just have to learn how to say yes every single time. How to say yes every single time. So I'll tell you a little quick story. This company contacted me through LinkedIn. We were just talking about LinkedIn, and it happens very rarely when someone reaches out through LinkedIn. And it's like, hey, I'm starting a real estate investment group company, whatever. I'm like, okay. It's like, we're going to be tokenizing our investments. So it's going to be the first token, whatever, however the terms go in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. Long story short, you're going to be able to invest into real estate with Bitcoin. And he's like, we're tokenizing our products, our services. Can you help us build the product launch and the website and this and this? So in my head, in the back of my head, I'm like, what's going on? I don't know even like what you're talking about. I've invested money in Bitcoin, don't know exactly how it works. I just know that it keeps going up, right? So I just told him, I was like, yeah, we can help. Let's go ahead and jump on a call and let's figure out a plan of action. And we had the phone call. He sits down with us. He talks to us for about an hour's time. This guy's 25 years old. He's a hedge fund manager, and he used to be like a financial analyst in real estate. So we're just like, okay, like figuring it out. And it's like, explain to me how the process works. So he explains it. Essentially, what he's doing is he's creating a token where you'll be able to buy equity shares into a small retail store, say a 7-Eleven, a KFC, and McDonald's, right? So it's going to be group buying because everybody's already investing in housing and in real estate. So the next thing is retail, right? So he's like, people are going to be investing in this, and there's going to be an ROI from that, which is all going to be paid through cryptocurrency, so that there's no actual centralized bank that takes interest or taxes or anything like that. I'm like, okay, perfect. So then we're trying to figure out who his target audience is, and it's us. It's new up and coming entrepreneurs, right? So it's like, who's going to take the gamble to say, yeah, let me invest on something that I don't know anything about? So I told him yes, and as soon as I told him yes, he came back and he was like, just FYI, if we do this, once you present your proposal and everything, we're probably working with anywhere between a $25,000 to $60,000 budget for the next 6 months. And I'm like, dude, I would have done it for 10. Bet. Let's do it.
Yeah.
You know? So it's just, it's the thing about
But if
it
you would
is,
have been turned off from the first, if you wouldn't have taken that call, or if you would have said, oh, this is never going to work, or, you know,
if I
like,
would have
kind of
listened to the
been,
back of my head, to that scarcity mindset, and to like
he
and to
just
the
wants
whole
your money. They just want your money or whatever. Yeah.
yeah, to the whole uncertainty, I would have been like, nope, and I would have never found out like what lays ahead, you know. So now it's like there's an opportunity to work on some new technology that I'm completely uneducated or aware about, but I'm learning, you know, and then we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
So
That's the power of, like, that goes right into the LinkedIn too. And I like kind of what we were talking about and what I was telling you about before in the beginning. Like, I won't, like, you know, release all the details since it's not all, you know, ironed out yet, but just randomly connected with somebody on LinkedIn. And now we're putting together, like, he already has a crazy network, right? And now we're
mhm.
putting together programs based on the network, and you know, courses that are just straight value. Like, you literally, like, even on his LinkedIn itself, is, you know, just like a LinkedIn accelerator to get connections, like, ridiculous. And then the next level of that is to do it for yourself and then build a brand around it, right? And it's like all of this just from me getting on a call and just just asking this guy what's up. And then even one of my podcast clients, found him on LinkedIn, talked to him for probably like 10 minutes, maybe tops. And didn't sell him at all or anything. Just told him what I do. And then he asked me for a sample, and I was like driving. So I drove back to my house, made a sample real quick, edited his podcast, sent it to him. And then, he sent me the PayPal that day, and I didn't even do any hard selling. All I did, and then I look on TikTok, he's got 2.3 million followers on TikTok, right? So, right, and 700,000 on Instagram. Yeah, didn't even know. So
But
that is the
do you
crazy.
think it happened because of how timely you were with the delivery, or because you actually treated him like a regular human being? You're like, I'm just trying to earn my buck here, and
Yep.
if it happens, it happens.
It was a little bit of, it's like everything with opportunity, like the timing was good. But yeah, dude, I mean, that's what I'll do for my people, man. Like I will drive back to my, like, cause I'm scared. Like I was scared that I wasn't going to get it if, if I didn't do that,
Yeah.
So that, yeah, no, I think, me doing that definitely did help. And honestly, I could charge this guy a lot more. I could charge everybody. It's like, I'm not even in it for that, man. It's like we just settled on a price. Like, hey, and like that price stays locked, man. Like, I'm not like that. Like, hey, like now it's triple. I have a huge company now. It's like, nah, man, you gotta like. It's all about those first people, that groundwork. It's like this guy doesn't know how much of this like means to me,
Yeah.
And just even to get like even a year ago, I wasn't even editing. Exactly a year ago is when I started doing this. Like when I quit my job and quit my mechanic job. I also quit my like marketing job after that too. But when I started kind of transitioning to the freelance world, even to make $5,000-$10,000 off a podcast was ridiculous,
It was unheard of.
unheard of. I mean, I didn't know. Remember when people didn't even think you can make money on the internet? Now it's like,
Yeah.
my parents are like, "What are you doing
Everybody.
these podcasts for?" And I'm like, this,
Don't worry about it. I'm making money.
and this is my goal too. Like, this is my goal, is to just interview people all day, which, luckily I can do like, a couple a week, which is nice. But my
Yeah.
goal is to have Joe Rogan style and just be able to have people come in and do interviews.
That's awesome, man. I see it happening because of your energy,
Oh,
most
it's gonna happen.
definitely. And you mentioned something, taking care of the first people. So that was when I quit my job last year. I was working full time in a marketing agency. Decided to do this full time because the service just wasn't there, and I was all about building relationships with my clients. So when I sent an email to all 250 of my clients at the time, one of them jumped on a call with me, and she said, "I'm coming with you." And I was like, "Ooh, that's powerful," right? And when we hopped on a call, she said, "I'm with you because of the relationship and the trust I've built with you in 1 year, when I've been doing this for the last 15, and I've talked to over 30 people. You're the first one I trust." I was like, "Okay, trust number one." And when we jumped on that phone call, she said, "You always take care of your top 10 clients first. Everybody after that, you're going to be big, you're going to charge them the world and the universe. But if you don't have those initial 10 people and you don't take care of them left and right, whether it's rainy or sunny outside, then you're never going to grow." And that got instilled so deeply in my head that for the first year, we only took 10 clients to master those 10 clients. And then now we're like, all right, let's go ahead and cherry pick who we want to work with, because all of our 10 clients are 5-star reviews, So it's unbelievable how, when you don't go after money, but you go after delivering value. And more than anything, like, people say, "I don't have to prove myself to anybody." Like, yeah, you do. It's like, prove yourself to you and prove it to other people that believe in you. And that's literally what I got out of just being told that take care of your first 10 people. And it's like, all right, the ground, got to put in the work and prove it and give the time and the effort. And maybe I'm not a millionaire right now with these 10 people, but these 10 people are going to be the reason why I can reach that goal,
Testimonials, man, and reputation, right? Like, it comes back to that. Like, that's all that was, man. Like, like, same thing with you, man. Like, once I talked to, you and Josh, like, I just knew you guys were on it, man. Like, you guys, this is what you do. This is, you're trying to, you guys gave me tips. Like, you didn't charge me or nothing. You guys were like helping me to try to understand what I want to do too. And like, if you guys came to me, "Hey, I want to start this podcast," I do the same thing. And that's kind of like, that's what it is, man. And
Yeah.
like, I'm like, there's another, you know, agency who's building my site right now. They're like, hey, usually we build these massive sites. It's like, but hey, like, we just interviewed you. We want to help you out. You know, it's like that. And when they come to me and want some podcast help, that's how it's going to go, right? It's going to be the same thing. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, relationships is number one, in the testimonials, and just getting that, like, nobody gets successful from, you know, just screwing people over. You know, like, you have to, those first people, or that's it, man. I need that guy, the, you know, my client, to talk to, you know, so-and-so, to say he does really good work. He's timely. He's on,
Yeah.
you know, attention to detail, everything. That's what sells. There's nothing else that sells other than your
Faster.
personality. And like, yeah, right. And something that the Wolf of Wall Street said, he said, I forget that guy's name all the time. He said, like, bottled enthusiasm. Like, that's really what it is like, he would say, I don't have to raise my voice. I just have to be enthusiastic with, and also just the way that you speak to people. I've been on calls and I've been selling the Instagram marketing, and I believe in that stuff too. You know, it's like we talked about, like, that's
Yeah.
that's why I do podcasts. So I'm not as into it, but I was on a call with this lady, and she's like, she didn't have the budget, right? But she was like, I could just feel it in your voice. And if you could sell on that, if you could sell personality first and testimonials, that's all it is, man. You'd be able to sell anything your entire life. Like,
Absolutely.
but yeah, man, this the Zoom's gonna kick us off in like 3 minutes. But I mean, unless
Okay.
if you gotta go, that's cool. But I'll keep going. I could just hop on the same link again. Man, I thought I gotta just do it. I gotta pull the trigger, man. I just bought it for my client, so I really just have to. I didn't do enough recordings on Zoom before, but now I do all of them on here. So I'm slacking.
All good, bro. All good.
But
Yeah, it wasn't like 2 months ago is when I actually started like my membership with them.
yeah, I gotta just pull the trigger.
Like the 45 minutes kept limiting me to. I'm
Yeah, they get you, man. I mean, the amount of money that company's making, crazy, man.
yeah, their market cap went up higher than all airlines combined.
Wow.
I just found that out.
Well, I mean, it is just such a global thing. Like, it is. Everybody is a user. Anybody
Yep.
and everybody, no matter even the age. They don't have to like niche down to just like startups anymore. You know.
Nope. Everybody's zooming.
Every
That's why.
school, yeah.
So Facebook is so Google made it like their, what is it, Google Hangouts? They made it absolutely free, up to 100 people that you can interview or have in that call. And then Facebook is testing it out too, because obviously when you see little Zoom go from this to this
Zucks
overnight.
is pissed. He's like, I
Oh
had
yeah.
the infrastructure to put this in place. But
I
everything
just didn't
Facebook
feel like.
does sucks, I feel like. I don't
Yeah,
know. I don't
Facebook.
know.
Well, Facebook is like, it's constantly evolving, but I think that Facebook has now gained a lot of its traction back, mainly because, again, everybody's inside, and you have an older demographic and an international demographic that's all on
I
Facebook.
mean, it changed marketing, right? I mean, other than Google did it first, but then Facebook did it. You know, that's like
Yeah.
the marketing, Facebook, Instagram marketing revolution.
So the one thing though, like, I don't think he gets enough credit for, it's like, yeah, sure, like the whole Cambridge Analytica thing happened, right? But for the longest time, from the time that they created Facebook, he stayed away from wanting to do advertising. For the longest time, they stayed away from doing advertising. And it wasn't until they went public that his investors were like, we need to advertise. And I mean, if you think about it, that's when the downfall of Facebook started happening. When
Oh,
so it's like, I
really?
watched the Social Network, the movie, and he was literally like, I don't want to advertise. This is for the people. This is for the people. He was 100% all about that, and the amount of users. He's like, I know there's value there. I know there's going to be money there in the long term, but to begin advertising right off the gate was stupid. And he felt that way for the longest time. They went public. They started advertising. A lot of people got rich off of advertising on Facebook, and then out of nowhere, it just like went to shit, you know?
Well, and also the elections didn't help. that really stirred the dissent, and it made it possible for people to ascribe Facebook as this thing that is just evil and takes your
Yeah.
data and gives you angry content for you to get mad at other people for, just to keep you on the platform. And when it started as the first huge social network other than MySpace, but really revolutionized it. And then the public opinion, you're right, completely went down the drain. But I see what you're saying. I think I don't spend time on there, but Facebook has made me a ton of money, not from making ads, not from just from selling things on Facebook Marketplace. I
Yep.
used to sell, and I still do a little bit, but like I used to sell cars and wheels for people, for other people, for myself
Okay.
too. But I'm really into, like, that's my thing. Maybe you buy Gucci and stuff. I'm into cars and motorcycles and stuff like that. So
There you go.
that's my thing.
No, I have like 2 Gucci shirts. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
man.
looking for a motorcycle, man. Anybody selling one?
There you go.
Come sell me one. But yeah, that's, so I made a ton of money just selling other people, because I would be talking to older people at the shop I worked at. They would
Mhm.
sell their cars there, and I would say, hey, I can reach 2,000 people on their phone. I don't even have to spend money on it. I don't even have to promote it. I just put it in this Facebook group. And
Yeah.
these are all local people. And it was magic. People would just come and buy stuff. And they
Like,
thought, they didn't know how I did it. All I was doing is posting it on Facebook
no
Marketplace
one trusts
and buy,
Craigslist
sell, and
anymore.
trade. Yeah, I buy and sell on Craigslist all the time.
Really?
Yeah.
But
Oh yeah.
did you make more money on Facebook than Craigslist?
Facebook is easy because you can interact. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Craigslist is really sketch. You gotta see. You have to be a Craigslist veteran, man. You gotta been. I've been on Craigslist for 8 years, so I just know. You start to know kind of
So
if
you
they're
just
legit
know
or
when
not.
something's sketch.
Yeah, I don't love it. I try. I will sell something on Facebook for 2 months before I put it on Craigslist, just because I don't want to
Okay,
deal with Craigslist. There's so many
that makes
bots and
sense.
stuff like that, but it does still work.
Bro, that was like me on eBay.
Arbitrage, baby.
eBay 2008 to like 2014, man. I like a huge sneaker. I was like, I'm still am like a
Sneaker
huge
guy. Okay.
sneakerhead, and I was like, I would start selling products way before they would even release, and then just figure it out. It's like, all right, I just sold 45 of the same exact shoe. I'm limited to buying 2 per store. How do I figure 43 out? So it was a lot of fun, but again, it's and it goes back to some people like don't want to make the time to figure this stuff out. They don't want to take the time to figure out eBay. They don't want to take the time to figure out Facebook Marketplace or anything like that. And it's like, hey, that's where we step in and we just give a little bit of assistance and just get a little commission off of that.
Yeah, that's a Gary V. You just did a straight Gary V on that. That's an arbitrage right there. That's like, yeah, that's the
Oh,
same
that's you
thing.
do that?
What'd you
Oh yeah,
say?
he does like the
Yeah,
garage sale stuff,
it's
right?
so funny because he's from Jersey. He's from like 15 minutes away from where I'm at right now.
Okay.
And he goes to garage sales in Jersey and flips stuff and then puts it on eBay. And he says, look, I just made $1,000, you lazy assholes.
Yeah, I think
Like
like
he's
I
a
came across one of his posts. I love Gary Vee. I think he's one of the greatest minds, entrepreneurial minds of our generation. I um I love his stuff, but I stopped being a fan of his when people like blew him out of proportion. And then like you have like the Brad Lees that are coming up, and Brad Lee's just like so raw and keeps it real with you like the entire way. And it's like again about the entrepreneurial mindset, not like it's possible if you hustle, if you do it. It's like, no, motherfucker, there's a way to do it.
I don't think Gary realized what he was building. I think he knew what he was building, but he didn't realize where the people were going to take it. And that's the thing. I watched him from the Ask Gary V, and 6 years ago, and
Yeah.
I actually met him. I was actually like featured on his Instagram too, and like the question that I asked, which I
Oh,
talk
that's
about way
really
too
cool.
much, so I really don't want, like, people are like hate that I keep bringing it up. But I was the biggest Gary Vee fan forever until I met him, and then when I met him and I was in line on, I just realized, I was like looking at the line, I was like, damn, this is what he does. He doesn't have to do this. This is crazy. Why does it almost seems like he's like, I guess I'm just doing this. Like, most people in his position would never never sit at his dad's liquor store for whatever 8 hours and just take people's questions.
Yeah.
Billionaires don't do that.
Yeah.
So
Well,
yeah,
that
the
also
respect,
helps
man.
them stay so top of mind, though.
It does. That's the thing. Your ear to the ground, man. Like he's on the ground with the troops.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that you got to respect too. But I'm done watching him. I watched hundreds of hours of his content. Once I stopped watching him, then I had a business. So
Yeah.
any advice I
Facts.
would give is
Facts.
don't
Holy shit. That's a bomb right there. Oh man.
dropping
Yeah,
bombs, baby. That's the truth.
I was talking to my girl about this the other day, right? And she was like, I was listening to Darren Hardy from the Compounding Effect. Uh, Great guy, and the way that he just talks and everything in general, like I definitely want to get at that level, right? And she was like, "Is this one of the new guys that you watch?" Because he used to watch Gary Vee, and I'm like, over time you grow out of these people.
Yeah.
Like I went through my Gary Vee phase. I entered Ty Lopez for like 2 minutes, and then I said, "Nope, Grant Cardone is the way."
Yeah.
Right. And then I did my Grant Cardone time, and then I got hip to, let's say, Bradley, and I did my Bradley time. And it's like you always pick. You learn from so many people, and it's like, you know, in your case, for example, now you're like partnering up on a huge LinkedIn project, right? But it's like you would have never gotten there had you not listened to those guys to eventually know how to build your own stuff and have your own business and be conscious enough of like, yeah, I need to get myself out there. And you reached out, jumped on a call, and then it happened. Um, it takes me back to so in our fourth month of business with Josh, we took a mastermind trip to go see this guy. He's like a marketing genius. His name is Dean Jackson. He has the I Love Marketing podcast, and we went to his seminar. 12 people sitting in one room talking about nothing but marketing in your business. So essentially, we left with the blueprint for our entire business model, right? But what was even bigger than that is that I personally didn't know it at the time. That's where I met my mentor. And his name is Norman Dunnigan. So the thing is, this guy is ADD, completely ADD, yet has 13 businesses, all running successfully. He's basically the king of his town, right? And we just hooked up. We started talking together. We were like, this is what we do, blah, 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 blah. He's like, I want to see if there's, and he brought it up. He's like, I want to see if there's a way of collaborating. And at that point, I'm like, what do you mean? I was still in the, I want you as my client mindset. He's like, no, let's collaborate. Let's see what we can do together. We ended up taking an 8-hour drive down to Aiken, South Carolina. Sat down with him, got to see all of his businesses in and out, basically. And by the end of the trip, he's like, here's my credit card. Don't spend too much on it. And I'm like, and it's all about like, that all happened from listening to all of these people, listening to multiple people, and just, listening to my gut, going all the way to Orlando to this mastermind, maintaining a relationship. And it's like, here you have a mentor that you want as much as you wanted his business. He just said, here's my credit card. Don't spend too much on it. Great. For the last year, or since October, he's been helping us build our entire business with like the advertising piece. And obviously we still do a lot of stuff for him, but like, you just never know. So
Man.
I don't know where I was going with that, but
No,
it's just,
that is a perfect example. I think it's a great story to end on too. And but that's the power of it, man. If you would have stayed in the client mindset, first of all, you would have never took the trip. So the fact that you took the trip though, that was his first indication though, of like, these guys are serious, right? Nobody
yeah.
just goes and takes a trip if they don't care about it. If they don't go to this mastermind, nobody goes to the mastermind unless they're
It was
going
a
to use.
$5,000 mastermind, bro.
Yeah, right, straight up. So they were like,
That's true.
these guys are legit. Step one, and then all right, let me see if they'll go with me. Go see all the businesses. Okay, yeah, that got that too. All right, these guys are in. Sold. Now you got a relationship for life, a mentor for life, a business mentor, like support, all from just following your gut, going to this thing and meeting
There you
this
go.
guy. You would have never known it would even happen. So,
That's it, man. That's why I'm
that's
like,
crazy.
when you were telling me your story, and again, I know we can't really go into detail, but I'm excited because it happened.
Me
It
too.
happened to me that way, and it's like you're falling right into that, and bro, it's the rest is just timing, and that's it.
Dude, it was timing today. It was timing for it all, man. It's just that's how it
That's
goes.
right.
You get the timing right. But yeah, thank you so much, Mike, for coming on. I really appreciate it, man. This has been a
Absolutely.
blast. I wish we
Absolutely.
could go
Thank
three
you.
hours. You know, we got work to be done though. That's
Big
it.
time, big time.
Yep.
So
Big time.
yeah, just thank you so much for having me, man. I really, really appreciate it. I like the style of podcast too. I think it's raw and it's just an honest conversation about whatever, you know.
That's all I like to do,
So
man. That's why I want to keep it like this. Cause
yeah,
if I lose
it's
this,
very organic. I love it.
no, thanks, man. Yeah, just let people know, where they can find you at Instagram, website, whatever it might be.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So anybody looking to connect, particularly if you are in real estate or know somebody, actually be a hero to somebody that's in real estate. We all know a real estate agent. We all know a mortgage broker. Be a hero to them. Have them connect with me on @TopShotDC, and that's my Instagram. Or go to my website, which is TopShotProd.com. I would greatly appreciate you guys. We do have referrals that we pay. But again, it's all about being a hero to somebody. You never know who's going to introduce you to your next $1,000,000. So introduce me to my next couple $1,000, and then I'll introduce you to whoever I possibly can, because we grow together, and that's honestly the way I think about it. You know, this relation right here with you, Ryan, for example, it's like we're not working together yet, but at some point in time we will. And
Probably soon, man. Probably
yep,
sooner than we think. Like that's the thing. Like I didn't know I was gonna hire somebody. Like it was like bang, had to hire somebody. Like that's just how it goes,
exactly.
man. When it happens, and you got to do it. Yeah, thanks, man. All just for those listening and watching, all the information is in the show notes as usual. This has been another episode of BOPCAST. As always, I don't know what your number, probably like 35 or 36 at this point. We're getting up there, man. I'm
There you
hoping
go.
we this kind of dies down a little bit and we can do some in person. But thank you
Absolutely.
so much, Mike, for hopping on. As always, folks, Bobcast on every single podcast platform: Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google Podcast. All the music's on SoundCloud, iTunes, Apple Music, and even the ones nobody uses. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it, man.